Hello chess lovers, Suren here, and I have another very fascinating game for you from 2018 Batumi Chess Olympiad. In round 2 the team of Uruguay faced France team, and now let's have a look at the game played between Andres Rodriguez Vila and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Rodriguez Vila is a grandmaster with 2477 rating, and of course it's obvious that with such a low rating it's going to be very hard to give a tough fight against MVL. But now let's see what happened on the board. Rodriguez Vila started the game with e4 and c5 by MVL. He goes for Sicilian defense, knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3 and a6. MVL goes for knight door variation, bishop e3, e5, knight b3, bishop e6. Here the main moves are f3 or queen d2 or h3 or bishop e2, but in the game we see rook g1, a very rare move. There were only a few games in my database with this move. Probably White had prepared something against MVL and wanted to surprise him. Knight g4, queen d3, bishop e7, and now if we have a look at the position, there are some problems in White's camp. For example, White can't castle queenside because of this knight takes e3 move, and White is forced to recapture with the f-pawn. Of course, a very unpleasant choice. Otherwise, if a move like queen takes e3, then Black has this devastating bishop g5 move. That's why after bishop e7, White moved the bishop back on d2 square. And here MVL simply won the pawn on h2 like asking, but where is your compensation? Bishop e2 and the knight simply retreats back. We see the exchange on g4 square, knight d5, knight c6, queen g3, h5. Here White first captured on e7 and then played f3. White wants to win back the lost pawn. Bishop e6 and queen takes g7. Rook g8, queen h6, and here we go a5. MVL is starting an immediate advancement on the queen side. White castles queen side, a4. Black is forcing White knight to move back on this passive a1 square. A miserable square for the knight. But in neither variation you can see a typical scene very often. Queen c7 and a3, a move which is weakening White's queenside too much. Well, queen e3 could have been better. If queen c4, then queen a3. Though after rook a6 Black stands much better, but of course this continuation could have been better for White. Instead, after queen c7 we see a3. Now comes queen c4. Black queen is looking for gaps to intrude inside White's camp. c3, after which White's light squares are becoming very vulnerable. Queen a2, knight c2 and knight c6. The knight is also coming and White is in trouble. Bishop g5, knight a5 and rook takes d6. Well, the engine suggests knight b4, although even in this case Black is managing to gain a huge advantage, and then knight c4, this is a total destruction, guys. But in the game we see rook d6, here comes knight b3 check, king d1, queen b1 check, bishop c1, and a very interesting move by MVL, king e7. He is both attacking White rook and is connecting his rooks, and at any moment Black rooks can harass White king. But in the game we will see that by playing king e7 MVL had completely different ideas. Rook d5, of course here Black could simply capture on d5 as well. This actually gives Black a huge advantage, but after king e7, rook d5, MVL played rook g6. By the way, after king e7, if a move like rook d3, then rook d8 can easily finish up White. After the exchange on d8, king e1, Black can simply win the bishop on c1. Let's go back in the game. After king e7, we see rook d5. Now comes rook g6, queen e3 and rook g8. The rooks are coming after the pawn on g2. This queen should keep eye on the bishop, and White is in trouble. The rook is also hanging. White captured on e5, but now comes rook takes g2. We see the exchange of rooks on g2 square. Now the knight on c2 is hanging, knight e1, and simply rook takes b2. Queen g5 check. Meanwhile, White is trying to create a counterplay, but Black's position stands very solid. King d7, rook b5. This time the rook is coming after the pawn on b7, but MVL simply captured on c1. We see rook d5 check, king c6. Of course, in here black has to be very careful because capturing on d5 could allow white to give a perpetual check. That's why after rook d5 check we see king c6, rook c5 check, king b6, queen d8 check, and simply king takes c5. Queen c7 check, king b5. White is trying to give a perpetual check, but it turns out that black is managing to defend successfully. King a6 and Vila Rodriguez resigned. Now if queen d6 check, then b6 simply, and the game is over. Right now there are a lot of mating threats. That's why after king a6, understanding that his position is hopeless, white resigned. Another very interesting game by a French chess player. In the opening, white made that surprising rook g1 move, but didn't manage to get anything from the opening, and MVL simply managed to finish up his opponent in style. Thanks for watching. Here are more suggestions for you. For more games, consider subscribing to my channel. I will see you in the next video.